Right, here we are. We're back again. I'm just in the process of I've had some requests for this as well, for the laser unit that you get with the Anycubic Mega Pro. Now it's really simple to use. There's no hard effort needed in order to get it to work. What it is I'll just turn the print around so you can see. Right, well, you can see that. I'll just go down. I'll just take you off here a moment. Right, underneath there you'll see a green socket there. You unplug that because that's for the hot end, and then the cable that comes with your laser unit goes into there, the green socket. Can you see that? Well, that is, you actually plug your cable that's here. I believe there's only two cables, two wires in it, and you get some special twist cable ties, and it goes round to this part of the cable here, and then your laser unit on there. Now I'll show you how the laser unit goes on. Just bear with me. Right. Right, here we have the laser unit. There's a little grub screw at the side there. You can just see it there. I'll try and get a bit better light on this if I can. Any better? Yeah, that's better. Right, that's a little grub screw that just secures that. Now this has four quite strong magnets on the back, so you can't put it any other way. That goes under the grub screw before you put it on a little bit. Slide it down. It stops at the top there because there's a little bracket on the top there, and it can't go down any further. Make sure it's squarish. When you tighten this up, it will, and it just needs nipping. That's all. Not a great deal of, you know, if you try and wind it in, you'll bend that out. Okay, that's pretty simple. That's how it is. Now all your images, all the images that have to go on the memory card have to be bitmaps. So whatever you do must be a bitmap. I will show you a clip of it actually engraving what's on the platter there, and that's what it's engraved. A wolf's head. Now I'll repeat it again later on in the video, but there's some settings that it tells you to do, and when you get, if you read the manual, just go through what the manual says to do to set up and do their test files. I used a piece of card, that's all. That's with some text, and that's just some lines I did in a drawing program, save them as bitmap, and I use them as a calibration. That's it. But as I say, that's how it's set up. Once you're on there, make sure you've got your sample bitmaps on your memory card. Once you've got them on, then I'll show you what the programs. Right, we're back now, so I'll just show you how what's on the panel at the front. Now you've got some settings here. I'll just go back to normal. You go back to your normal print, click on that, and it'll be bitmaps that'll come up when you've got the laser engraver on. Now I'll do the wolf's head again because it's pretty simple. Click on that and some settings will come up. Now those settings are quite critical actually, because it gives you your file name, gives you a set size. You can't alter them. You can't alter that. You can alter this, which is your laser height, and that's the height from your laser head to your bed. Okay, so now mine was set at 50, and I put a piece of card on, and focused it to that measurement. And as I say, in order to get the fine lines there that's on that paper, that's test paper, I just did it in a drawing program, saved them as a bitmap, and then saved them on the memory card, and then utilised that as a file. When it cut, what I did was I actually focused the point, or focused the laser beam to its finest point. It gives you the choice of doing that. Once I got that focus point, then I don't know if you can see on there, there's a little notch on that serrated focus adjustment knob there. Now I filed that in with a little fine file, and I know that now that facing me, that is focused to its smallest amount at 50mm on the platter. Okay, so once you've done that, it's a marking point. I can feel that with my thumb, and I know it's there. I can see it. Alright, so so you know how far to move it if it goes out slightly. Okay, right, now back to the settings. Now once I got that set, I knew that this here, this plywood that I'm using, is 3mm thick, so hence why that laser height is set to 53, because you have to add that on in order to take your laser beam, your laser head back up, so that it's at its correct focal point. So if you put something 10mm on there, that would say 60. Hence if you put a piece of timber on, or whatever is 5mm, that would be 55. So it's always increased, not decreased. Okay, then these, don't worry about these settings. Your next setting that you've got to think about is your laser intensity, which is there. Now if you click on the laser intensity, whoops, you can change any one of these to what you want. Tick it and it'll set your laser power to that. Okay, now when I first did this, it said set it to 15% of your laser power. It's only a 1.5 watt laser head. Now setting it to 15, I put the card, I could have put my hand underneath, didn't do anything, didn't even mark the card. So I don't know where they got that setting from. So what I did was, it said increase it by increments of 2%. Well, I'd have been there all day. I just jumped straight to 25 and I got a slight mark. Not much, slight mark. Because you can't alter the speed of this, it does it automatically for the operating from side to side. So I set it then to 30, and I just increased it. Now that timber was done at 55%, and that you can feel it's burnt down about 0.5 mil, 55%. So I got it right. It was doing it at 35%, but not enough that I wanted, so I changed it to 55, and that's what it's done that. Now you can also when you're first setting it up, so you know where your laser path is, if you click on at the bottom here, it says laser indication, begin carving. If you click on that, your laser will move and it'll go there. Okay, now what it'll do then is it'll start to show you an area that's the size of your drawing or your bitmap. Okay, so it enables you to actually to it isn't burning anything because it's on very, very light, but it's just showing you where most lasers do this, right? So I'll just stop that, and if you click back on it, it'll stop it. Okay, so that's quite useful. Now what I have is on my other CO2 laser I have downstairs in the workshop, I actually have the size of the bed that I want. It is actually scaled out, and I have all my bed is lined up, so I know that when I put something on, where it's got to be. So what I suggest that you do with this is get some nice, about 0.5 card, white card, and draw a grid system on it. Make it the size of your bed. Clip it on with some of those yellow paper clips. You only need it either side. So when you put this or your material that you're cutting on top, you can line it up perfectly. So it needs to be, you need to know whether it's square. Okay, and there's nothing on here that will tell you whether it's square on that bed. It's just by eye. But this way you can do that. So if you put a card down, pop that on, and then you're away. Then you know that the unit is square. Okay, right. Now what I'll do is I'll pop this on, and then I'll show you doing another one. Right, back again now. Right, I'm just going to do a show you how the file goes on when you're engraving them. I mean, you couldn't want a more simpler machine, dual purpose machine, to operate. I mean, the printer side is the printer side, but I thought at first with this laser unit there'll be some messing around. No, the only messing around was getting your focal point and just working out the correct power. I thought there was something wrong when it wasn't working at 15%, but it's not gonna, you know, I mean, I don't know if anybody else's works at 15, but this definitely doesn't, and it'll engrave an extremely fine line. But right, I'll just go through with you at the moment. Right, so I'm going to go back to, I've loaded a smaller wolf image, and I'll just set that power to 45. Okay, I might have to increase it, but the beauty about this, you can increase it on the fly. When it's working, you can just increase it. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'll do that. It will now go back, it'll start to home. Showing me where that is now. So I know where that is, so my extractor that I've made, it's brilliant. From an old vacuum cleaner hose and a couple of 50mm fans. But I'll show you that in a bit later on in the video. Okay, so that seems to be working right, so we'll stop that now. Okay, right, what we're going to do now is go into tell it to carve. Some different settings will come up now. They're not real settings, it just gives you a percentage of working. It's homing now. It'll go down to the bed, touch off with the nozzle to home, and then it'll adjust the head up now to the 53%, 53mm. It's waiting, and then it'll go across and start. Now I've altered some things. Okay, now that's starting to work. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, if you want to alter anything on the fly, just click in that back, go into your, that one, laser. Now I can alter that height, and I'm going to alter it to 50. Tick. That alter it down. It doesn't stop on long, so it'll revert back. Go back on and alter the power settings to 50. Sorry, delete that one. 50%. Tick. You see? Okay. Now in the given time, oh, is it burning enough? Is it going the depth I want? Oh, what I've started it off. Well, it's simple. Just pause it. It'll stop. You can go over to it. Obviously, make sure when you're doing this you've got your safety goggles on, glasses on. Okay. Go over. A little bit too much. Alright. So, what you do is go back. There's a stop there, but you wouldn't press that unless you want to stop the actual engraving. Just go resume, and there you go. It's so simple. It really is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back onto Fly and adjust the laser to 45%. So you can see all the fumes and smoke going back up that extractor there. Let it do a few more, and then if you think, ooh, let's see if my adjustments worked, go back down to your settings, pause, go over, lovely, resume. I don't think you can want anything simpler. I just think it's you know, when it comes included, then there's lots of uses because it will engrave quite a large area. So it can be quite useful. Now on my laser cutter downstairs, my CO2 laser, I do slate tiles, so to speak, and it engraves them. I don't know what this would do, but you could certainly do a painted tile and laser on top of it, and then wash the paint off, and it'll have marked the tile with whatever you've engraved. There's lots of uses for it, and as I say, I never purchased it because of the laser. I purchased it because it was good value for money. I mean, the printing that comes off it is really good. As I said, I just wish that Anycubic would have replaced the anti-backlash screws. That's it. Or rather, replaced with anti-backlash screws, because the ones that come with it are pretty rubbish, really. But everything else about the printer's really good. So I'm hoping this is help the people that are wanting to use this. I have Photoshop, but there's other programs out there that you can actually use to convert an image or JPEG or what have you and then save it as a Windows bitmap, and then because that's all it recognises as a machine, and then it engrave it. But sometimes you've got to be careful of is that do that first initial setup to make sure that it's within the area that you want to engrave, because what I've found out is I know what sizes to do them at now on the software program in order to get it the size that I want on the machine. That's just trial and error. That's enjoyment, enjoying doing it, setting yourself a task and getting on with it, and that'll happily go away. I've done quite a few today, just samples, and I mean it goes right through that card, no problem, if I put it up to 80%, but there's no need because you're only engraving. You know, I wouldn't use this for cutting. I use my CO2 laser for cutting. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but for 1.5 watt it's not bad at all. So right, this is the laser in operation. I'm actually lasering a piece of plywood, 3mm plywood. Now it's a bitmap image. I've just got it off the internet, and I've used a program that I have just to somewhat give it some size. It's working really well, but they tell you to, obviously when you're setting this up, you've got to set the power levels to 15%. Well, I can say it's a 1.5 watt laser diode, and if I set that to 15% it doesn't even mark paper. This is doing the plywood quite well, and it's at 55%, so you can see what the problem is there. Is you're being told that 15% is the minimum to start off at, and then you increase it in multiples of 2. Well, I'd have been here all day if I'd have been doing that. So I tried it at 15, I tried it at 25, I tried it at 30, just marked it but very little, and now it's up at 55, and it's doing it quite well. The little device here is, I'll go into it in a little bit more detail, but it's just an extractor that I've done myself, 3D printed, and using old vacuum hose, and it goes out of the Velux window. Two small 50mm fans, sort of buttered together with a spacer in between, and a 3D printed case around it, 12 volt supply, and it's quiet, you can't hear the fan running, and it's drawing all the fumes out from this straight out of the Velux window. So it's really utilising what you've got. There's as you can see, that's the, I'll just pull you away from that at the moment. That is the finished item, but smaller than the one. This is done on paper. As you can see, it's quite well detailed, just a black and white bitmap image. It's done really well. Didn't take that long, really, about 20 minutes. Obviously it's a little bit bigger, so this will take a bit longer, but it's all about getting your focus point right. I'll just show you right, on the back of this card, I don't know whether you can actually see it, I'll just pull you away a bit more. You see those extremely fine lines. Let's see if I can get it a bit better. There. Those lines are extremely fine. I'm just trying different power levels, and all I did was in the program just do some test lines. You need to do this, just some fine lines, and then set your power level and until you get it focused right. Now when you go onto the settings for the actual printer or the laser, you see that, just bear with me, I'll just take you off here a minute. Right, you can see those settings there. Now one of the settings is for the power, which is that one. Oh, that's the progress. That's your print size, print rate 100%. Now if you go back to the, just go back here, that's your prints, that's your actual engraved print size, that's your power. So if it'll flick back. Now obviously when you go into the there, you just put your power in and tick, and it's job's done. It's for the 1.5 watt laser, I can't complain, and I didn't buy it for that, but as you say, it's doing quite well. But what you've got to do is you must get that focal point. Now it says in one of the settings, it's, if I can get back to the setting, let's see that. That setting there says laser height 53. Now it will tell you in the software to set it at 50 to try it with, and to be honest with you, it's spot on. Now obviously I tried a piece of card, and I did the lines, and I adjusted the lens until I got it absolutely as fine as I could. That's like those lines there on the card, they're so fine, I won't get any finer than that, so I know that that's the laser point. Now what I did then is on the actual little dial that you turn on the laser head for the focus, I just filed a little notch in it so that I knew that that was where the position should be. I mean, you can't see it really there, but it's down here on the laser. And what I did was, once I got the focal point correct, and don't forget that laser focal point isn't round, it's slightly oblong, so one way it'll go finer, which in my case is across, and down it's slightly wider, but not much, but it's oblong shaped. Now what I found was that because that I've focused the point now with the card, and it says 50mm, and that is absolutely spot on. So when I put the plywood on, I measured it was 53. I've set it at 53, so there's a 2mm discrepancy in that, and that's because from the 50 sorry, there's a 3mm discrepancy, because obviously from the 50 you measure the thickness, and I increased it by the thickness of the plywood, and as you can see, that is doing extremely well. I don't know whether you can see all the fumes vanishing up. But there you go. And I'll just show you my, I've just got this on an extendable arm at the moment, but now this is my 3D printed bracket there. You keep the original arm on that you put the filament on, and I've printed a unit that clips over that, just clips on it, so you can take it on and off, and this unit there holds a hose in, and that is fastened to that with a 3mm stainless steel nut and bolt, which is inset is the nut, and the bolt goes from above, so I can turn that any time to get a good position for the extraction. That'll turn either way, or I can pull it out further, doesn't matter. That's just old vacuum hose, that's all I've used, and this is the unit that I've manufactured. Right, I don't know if you can see that clearly, but that's inside there. Inside there is there, that's better. inside there is two 50mm fans, 12V fans, and I encase them. I'll show you. Get one of the fans, I'll show you. That's the unit. That's just 3D printed, right? And that's the fan, 50mm fan. Right, I'm back again now. Just move the camera. Might look a bit like Roy Orbison. I'm not him, but I've got these on because it's still lasering away. So I'm just hoping that now the videos helped you. All those out there that are thinking on purchasing this or have purchased it. A lot of people have worked through it themselves and got it, but it's just a little bit of an insight into how simple this printer can be used as a laser engraver with a 1.5 watt laser. As I say, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If there's any questions anybody wants, feel free to send me an email or send me a message on YouTube, and just remember, stay safe out there, look after yourselves. Bye for now.